Well, what do we have here? Welcome, everybody. Well, here it is. Finally, you're seeing the reviews on the AltProto AMX 30, alternative prototype AMX 30. What is this thing? Well, it is a Tier 8 French cyclical single shot medium tank. Very fast. Some armor, not amazing, but some. An okay gun in terms of accuracy, not bad. Hits decently hard at 300. It's sort of in between the 240s and the 320, 360s we've been seeing lately on mediums. And I would say this is a really in-between tank, but it's got a couple things that make it very good for good players. Very good for good players. So welcome to the day after Thanksgiving. I hope you have had a nice rest and had a good day. And now we are off to the races for the holidays. I do have my Santa hat. I'm not going to wear it today, but here it is. You can see that the pilot's got his Santa hat on there. So let's get started with the holidays, and we will start that process off with a review of the AltProto AMX 30 French Tier 8 medium tank that you can do a marathon for. I talked a little bit yesterday on my Thanksgiving video, Thanksgiving video about the marathon itself. I'm not going to delve into that here. Suffice it to say that it's basically the same as they have been for the last few years. Around 240,000, I believe it's right at 240,000 experience if you're going to grind out the experience. It does have the missions for skill or excellence or whatever they call it as well. You can do it faster at tier 9 and 10. If you're an average player averaging about 500 experience a game, you're looking at about 500 games in 10 days, about 50 games a day. That's a lot. Really, what you're probably playing for is some kind of discount, and you'll put that number in your cranium and grind to that. I would say around, and I don't have the numbers right now because I'm doing this the day before. You will be able to look at the package today and see how much it costs, but really, if you're getting to the 60 or 70%, it's probably well worth your money. Even at 50%, you're going to get a tank for more or less the price you would get a premium for, and then a bunch of other goodies. So there you go. I'll just say that in terms of the marathon. So we'll go do an overview, tech tree considerations, look at the 3D model on this thing, a comparison amongst some of its peers, my stats, my setup. I've played 20 battles in it, and some examples of gameplay. I managed to actually ace this thing in 4 games. I'm going to talk about that a lot and why I was able to do so well in this tank. Small sample size. When we get to the numbers, I don't expect to keep those numbers going, but we will talk about that. Overview, what is this? Well, this is another one of those tanks that was never built. It was started as a medium tank under the Franco-German Standard Panzer program. They were working together. Supposed to be a 30-ton vehicle with high mobility. Let's see, featured a 105 millimeter F1, but this one actually has a 100 millimeter on it. Over the course of its development, vehicle was changed a lot, but it was discontinued after one scale wooden prototype. Okay, so they made one of wood. That is basically the idea there. You can see it's a center-mounted turret. Fairly long hole right there, decently low slung, does have a weak spot turret, but the armor is not amazing itself. A very large mantlet right there, a lot of track sticking out, so when you're poking around corners, a good portion of your front's going to come out first. Notice pretty decently angled upper plate, fairly flat and large lower plate for shooting right there, and that is the basic gist of this bad boy right there. So let's take a look at some tech tree considerations with the AltProto AMX 30 Tier 8 French Premium Tank. Actually, before we jump in there, let's talk a little bit about where this thing lives on the tech tree. It looks a lot like the 30 prototype-ish in the AMX 30B. It looks like it might be along that kind of lineage, and really probably could have been an extra tech tree line with that one as 8. Then we got the 9 and 10, but the 9 and 10 have been moved over to collector's vehicles and relegated to that role. And now we have a premium tank in the AMX 30. The reason I mention all that is you might go, ooh, I got a good crew trainer for my 30 ER and for my 30B. Well, not so fast, because the radio operator on your new premium is actually on the commander. Whereas the radio operator for these two is on the loader. And you might go, well, poo-poo, Wargaming, why'd you do that? Why did you do that to us? Because the other tanks that the French have are mostly 3-person tanks. The Batchalon 25 TAT, Batchalon, however you say it, the Charfutur, The Bat Chat 25T, all 3 people. Include the Lorraine 40T, 3 people. Well, guess where the radio operator is on those tanks? Yes, you guessed it, the commander. So they've kind of done this tweener thing. Your AltProto will train crews for these 3 crew tanks. Your radio operator will be on the commander for all those, so you don't lose that skill capability when you move it to these other tanks, especially the tech tree too, because that's where you would be moving crews back and forth from, more than likely. Of course, the loader is cooling his heels when you're not using your AltProto. When you drop it into the 1ER or the 30B, now you've got a problem because you have skills that aren't going to work, or you're training radio operator skills on 2 different guys. There's no good answer here, folks. The assumption is crew 2.0 or whatever comes after that. If that doesn't happen, we'll fix the problem. I'm just the messenger, the mengender. I'm just the messenger. Now, it's medium, and we have quite a few French mediums, but we don't have a lot of French mediums on the tech tree, do we? No, sir. We have 2. The French line is a mess. It has to be said, in terms of the tech tree and premiums and whatnot, it is a bit of a chocolate mess, because you got the Charfouture dropped in there, the Lorraine, the AMX CDC, the Revolorici. I mean, goodness gracious, 1, 2, 3, 4 now tier 8 premiums, none of which really play nicely together with the tech tree line. And oh, by the way, the tech tree line is 2 tanks, and then you have the special tanks, the collector's edition. Why are they not a separate line? I don't know. I don't know. But you know what? Let's go happy, joy, and we'll talk about the AP AMX 30, because it's actually a pretty cool tank. It's actually pretty cool. Let's take a look at the 3D model. Alrighty then. As always on my channel, if you have comments down below as far as moving crews around or how you're planning on doing this, chuck them down there. Let's all learn together. So here we are on tanks.gg. This is the AltProto AMX 30. You can see it's very green. Everything's green, right? So the upper plate, and you kind of look down, not much. This little side skirt right here, this little side angle, which is going to hurt you on side scraping. Not that this is necessarily a great side scraping tank to begin with, but if you're forced into it or you're trying to minimize exposure, you are going to flat plate that just a little bit. But the one thing I want to mention is a little bit of that. Just a little bit of look down or look up from the shooter's perspective, and you're going to get some pretty good ricochet stuff. There is a bit of a tumor right in the middle, so if you, for some reason, you're a lower tier, and you're having trouble getting through the armor, and he's giving you an angle like this, then you might be able to sneak one into that front hatch thing right there. There is the upper hatch. You can see it's relatively lightly armored, around 70 to 80. These things do nothing. Don't shoot them. They're just little distractors right there. But that's the angle I wanted to show you. If you have any kind of hold down capability, and remember you've got minus 11 degrees of gun depression, you are going to get some decent capability off of the hull. And the turret is decent around the mantlet. Not amazing, but pretty good, except there's some very weak armor around the edges as well. It's not very rounded. And any kind of side angles just right through, right through. Remember, you've got a lot of the front of the tank right there. You can see that there's a hitbox right behind that, so you don't want to get too far forward. And there you have it. Not a lot of armor, but surprisingly, based on the angles and the decent turret, I did okay in my 20 battles. We'll talk about that when we get to the stats. Let's take a look at a comparison amongst its peers. So since I started playing this and kind of looking at the stats, it immediately begs a kind of comparison against the CDC, which is one of the tanks time forgot. Was quite a popular Unicum tank 7-8 years ago, 6 years ago, whenever it came out, probably closer to 7 or 8 at this point, because of its speed and its ability to get around the battlefield and really good gun depression. It had 0 armor but had pretty good DPM, and it was the first kind of the blossoming of the speed meta, or the thought that, hey, if I can blaze around the map as fast as possible and I'm a good player and I can react well, then it doesn't really matter if I don't have armor. Well, that's kind of gone away, because now we have a lot of tanks with some armor that can do that anyway. And while they might not be quite as fast as the CDC, even the CDC is not that fast anymore. And it has so many other negatives that it's just been overcome. But we're going to look at it, compare the two, because immediately you kind of have that general idea of gameplay style. And it is still a premium on the French line, interestingly. We're also going to look at the 52 LIS, the Lance and C, LPC. These three are relatively recent, pretty darn good premium tanks. We'll see how it stacks up against these three. I threw the 122 in there because the first number I want to talk about that's quite interesting is the standard pen is really nice at 232. Now that is a good thing. For a medium tank, that is a lot of standard pen. You can see the other guys that I mentioned, all much lower, and then we've got the 122 TM. And the 122 TM is known for a turret, bit of gun depression, hard hitting at 400, and a really long reload. But none of that has hurt it because it is near the top if you take a look at any of the stats at tier 8. So the gameplay style of being able to stick into the game, have a turret to fight, good depression, relatively at -8, and a hard-hitting gun, that really long reload has not hurt that one too much. Now, I'm not saying these are exactly the same because the APMX 30 is a bazillion times faster than the 122. But the general idea of a relatively slow reload, not 16 seconds slow, but 9 seconds slow, 9.5 really, and a decently hard-hitting gun at 300, it's a very similar thing because what we're talking about is the ability to put that DPM into use. Even though your DPM is low, which is what we've got with the 122 at a ridiculous 1430, the AP is sitting at 1877. Now that's nowhere near 1400, but it's also not the 2000s that most of these other tanks are. Still though, we're looking at the 232 pen and a relatively hard-hitting 300 alpha. The question is usable, right? Usable DPM, and this one's got it. The gun does all right in terms of penning. And that's going to actually help a little bit with your money making as well because you won't be dabbing too as much. We'll take a look at that pen in just a second. There's the gun loading at 9 seconds, like I said. Not too far off the rest of these guys. In fact, this LIS is at 9.2. You will find that your timing on shooting will be a little bit off on this if you're really used to playing fast-firing mediums. Okay, so a relatively long reload with a 300 alpha only gets us, as I said, to 1877 DPM. And DPM is not everything in this game. It's like I said, it's applicable or usable DPM, but that is something to think about. -11 depression is really nice. All right, let's look at the gun stats, because at first, when I played it, I thought, man, this thing's gun stats are terrible. It's not too bad, actually. The aim time is a bit painful at 2.4, but you can see it's not that far off for the rest of these guys. And the CDC is at 1.73, which I didn't realize it aimed that fast. Doesn't feel like it does. I think its bloom is really bad on movement. Some of its soft stats blooms are pretty bad. Dispersion 0.35, right in the ballpark of the rest of these. I controlled mine down to 0.30. We'll look at my setup in just a second. I'll show you how I did that, and it could probably be even better. Then we get into hit points. It is low on the hit points, folks. 1250. It's the lowest of all these guys. In fact, the CDC somehow has more. I don't know. Here's the armor. 60 on the whole. Pretty well angled. In some situations, very well angled. The turret armor is 150, which is not amazing. The mantlet's a little better, but it will give you some bounces. It will give some lower tier things a bit of trouble. But anything higher tier is probably not going to bother aiming a whole bunch at your tank. He's just going to go through it. Still, I had pretty good luck with the armor. We'll talk about that. This is one of the places where this thing absolutely shines. Its mobility is a beast. So you take all of that decent capability. You've got good pen. You have reasonable DPM, not amazing, but enough to stay in the fight. You have some armor, great gun depression, and then add a good dose of mobility. We're talking 65 kilometers forward and 23 backwards. Talk about a poke and back out tank, and this is where this thing really shines. -11 depression, great penetration, decent hit at 300 alpha. Nice, I already talked about the depression. 65 forward, 23 to back out. All of that adds up to a pretty darn good medium tank in the way the game is played. So not bad at all. Add a turbo and you're getting up to close to 70, or to, I want to say 70 if it's a bounty, or bond turbo even more. All right. Traverse stuff's all pretty good. The camo's okay at 16. It's right in the ballpark of everything else. It does take a hit on the view range of 380. That's not great, so you may consider optics on yours if you're a vision kind of person. So what does it look like amongst all this stuff? Well, it compares comparatively. It is close to these good ones, LPC, Lancet C52, LIS. I think it's well better than the CDC overall, even though it loses out on the DPM. But the X factor on this thing is its mobility. Right? It has enough of all of these other numbers to make it decent, and then you chuck on top of it some amazing mobility. And this is a reacting player's dream medium right here. It's everything the CDC wants to be in today's meta and probably was 7 or 8 years ago in that meta. Absolutely. All right, let's take a look at my stats. Well, how did I do? I did pretty well. I do not expect this to be a 75% win rate tank over 100 battles or 200. Absolutely not. It's easily a 55 to 60 for me. I would lean towards 60 if I'm able to continue to leverage it the way I have for these 20 battles. As I said, I aced it 4 times in that span of time right there. We're looking at 74%, almost 75% hit rate. That's pretty good. 1.88 damage, 2.7 destruction, and the armor use. Look at that. That's what I was talking about. 0.33. Man, that's a bit surprising. And I think probably there's a few lucky bounces in there from a big gun that's added to that. I don't suspect it's going to sit at 0.33, but I would say it's probably a 0.25. And when you start talking about 0.25, there's some situational capability, some bounces that you're getting because of angles and speed and other things spoiling shots. So while I would not trust its armor, it is helping you. All right, those are hits that don't take hit points off of your tank. So it's not CDC levels of nothing ever bounces, or maybe you take one off the gun. The armor will work on occasion. If you play it well, if you get in the right positions, you only expose the turret, even though it's not that strong. Overall, it will bounce some stuff. I'm telling you, it's very surprising in terms of its armor. I also did really well with assistance, and that speaks to its speed and ability to get around the fight, as well as surviving late into the game and gobbling up experience late, or assistance late, which would include experience. Damage to enemy vehicles, almost 2,000, 1,985. Doing pretty well right there. I had a 4,800 damage game and 6 kills. So that was about a 1,600 base XP. As of today, I think the lowest ace I had was in the high 1,200s. So I had a couple 1,300s, the 1,600, and then a high 1,200. Those were all ace tankers. Let's take a look at my setup. So the reason I say it's probably not 75%, you can tell there was some luck in there. I did have a couple games where I just got obliterated and we ended up winning, right? Probably 3 or 4 of those if I'm honest. Really, the tank should be sitting at about 55 to 60 based on the numbers that I had. 1,900 damage is good, but it's not amazing, right? It's not, some people are rolling around in tier 8s with 3,000 DPG. So I'm just barely at 2,000. So I expect that 75% to come down. Still, it was surprisingly good compared to what I thought I was going to be getting into. Very comfortable to play. Doesn't really have any vices. The way I've got mine set up is vents. I am working on, I think I just finished my field modifications. I do not have, and I have not chosen which one of the extra slots I'm going to use. I'll figure that out later, but I haven't done that. I'm running vents. That's getting the bonus on the mobility slot. I've got a rammer and I've got an IA, because I wanted to work on the dispersion. Dispersion was painful. I played a couple games with a vert stab on it and decided the dispersion was letting me down, so I dropped it down to 0.3. I'm also running food, so semi-try hard right here. I do have 14 APCR. We said we'd look at the pen on that. 263, okay? So you're not getting a big boost. You're trading a really good standard pen for an okay boost on the APCR. But because of this thing's mobility and decently accurate gun, you should be able to find the shots that you're looking for. Right? Some of those tanks that I showed you on the comparison have some really good, even though they've got low standard rounds, their special rounds have really good pens. So that is one thing you're going to have to work around on this. It doesn't have an amazing gold round, but it is APCR, which is nice. So that is my setup right there. I am running a fire extinguisher because I'm using food instead of an automatic fire extinguisher. You can see that if you go vert stab, don't run food and run a fire extinguisher over here, your dispersion is going to get up into the painful zone a little bit right there, 0.33, 0.35, somewhere in there. I am running Brothers in Arms over there. The crew I put together, these are out of special characters. I think only one of them is a bot guy. I think he's a standard one. The rest of these are, that's a special character, and I think this guy is from Battle Pass and some other things. So I put together as good a crew as I could. A new crew. I did not take a crew out of something else. You know why? Because go back to the idea that where the radio operator is. I didn't want to take a 3-person crew out of one of my 3-person French mediums and then have to add a loader and build him up. I just built a new crew and whatever. I have so many crew members, doesn't matter. But we're running on 3 crew skills and working on the 4th right there. So that is my setup. Let's take a look at some examples of gameplay. Alrighty, first replay, we're going to come over to Murovanka Dorf. Himmelsvanka, we have spawned into the north, headed over here to the east side, and we're going to go into the little hills here in what used to be the Magic Forest. Is it still the Magic Forest? I don't know. Top tier. So we'll start off with a 2-tier battle. This is a good setup for us. Nice. Minus 11 degrees. That may be one of those positions right there where that extra degree helps just enough to not expose yourself as much as you might. It's certainly better than -8. So we're going to hang out right here. This is my second ace tanker. The first one was, I don't know, dare I say, a run-of-the-mill ace tanker. Kind of went to one place and just farmed a whole bunch of damage. Let's show you what I'm doing with my camera right there. So we're going to come up and over and start abusing the Panther. The HTC does us a solid and just rolls in amongst all of them. And we take that guy down. Notice I'm using regular AP with that 230-odd pen. No problem going through the Tier 7 Panther right there. Just basically aim center of mass. It was also looked down, which was helpful. All right, there's that speed. So a small reposition, tactical reposition within the area that I'm in. Little bounce right there. Tuck into this low area. Chi-Ri gets a chunk of me. IS rams him. Auto aim. Shoot him. Turn back around. And now we're working on potentially the Chi-Ri, who's taking some peeks. We got an AMX M445. Like most mediums, it has some pretty good speed and firing. Basically, reload time, like I said, it's a little longer. You can't see that unfortunately, in the replays. It doesn't show you the counter. Wish they would fix that. And now I'm going to use some of that speed because we won the flank over here in the east, but obviously the west is a big issue. So we don't want to get capped out, and we don't want them to take all of that high ground. So look how fast this bad boy is. We're doing 62. Pretty good power to weight. I didn't mention that, but it's decent. We'll get up and go. And I'm going to flow all the way back over here, Metaflex, over to the west side. I thought about going off to the back edge. But based on what I'm seeing, a good number of them have actually stayed in the east. It looks like the guys over on the west side aren't really that interested in pushing up and over, although I will find several of them starting to make the move. Also, too, and in addition to, the 34-100 is giving me some SA that they're not really in that corner yet, right? He's not fighting, he's not dead, he doesn't even take any damage, and then, of course, he starts to see guys. So here we go. See if we can put a shot on him. Bit of an aim time thing. There we go, we put a shot on him. King Tiger C, captured, is hanging out right here. They're down low, so I'm going to take the opportunity to come up here and hit this guy. 34-100 is surviving for a while, which is nice. Thinking about shooting him, but I'll just take the Tiger. Bounce the Hellcat. There's that decent turret. Lower tiers, same tiers with low pen. Lower tiers are going to bounce a bit off of this thing's turret. So we get 370 bounce so far. King Tiger's in trouble. I actually get a nice snipe on his hatch right there, and we take him down. So the .30 dispersion, while not sniper accurate, is not bad at all. Take a quick shot on this guy. And I have gone to gold here, so I am firing special rounds. There we go. Worked out nicely. Would love to get that T-20 out. Kind of fighting in two directions now. This is all of a sudden not a great spot, and then we get one of them dead. I'd really like to get the other one, and then the T-29 shows up. So overall, I'm not really liking where I am, especially if they are able to push into this area right here. Now, there are some buildings in the way, but it is exposed to multiple directions of fire, so not my favorite spot right now. There you go. Wasn't even fully zoomed. Got lucky, went straight to where I was aiming. I'm going to come back down low just so I'm not up on the side of that hill if that Mutz or Super or C-52 LIS figures it out. Now I'm just going to back and use this building. Or sorry, go forward. I actually turned around. It's hard to tell with these tanks that look the same going and coming. We find this dude. Oh, it doesn't quite kill him. We get a slight low roll. Would have needed a pretty good high roll, but he dies right there. So now we're waiting for the T29 to maybe back off. I'd like to go up there. We've done a good job cleaning up everything in the south. And we still are wondering where the Mutts, Hellcat, and CS52 are. Not really sure what's keeping them from pushing in there. I guess the Super's sitting there. I don't know. Maybe they've flowed back. That's possible that they've gone back towards the cap. We'll find out. T29's right there. I do get lit. Surprised me a little bit. I'm assuming it was the Hellcat. I don't know. Probably was the Hellcat. I'm just going to push in on the T29. I'm hoping both those mediums haven't come back here, but we need to put that guy down. We get a shot on him. I think he gets one on me. There we go. He actually tracks me. Back up. Look at that nice fast backward speed. You got to love that. As far as close-in maneuvering, backing up and moving around and getting a better angle, you've got 23 kilometers backwards in those knife fights close in. That is really, really good. I don't think I get another shot here. We're going to cruise in and maybe go after the Panzer 58 Mutts and the CS52. I don't remember. I think I get some assist, though. I'm at 11:54 right now. There we go. So we got the Mutts. But we do get a shot. So up to 37:59. We'll go back to full speed here. We'll ram this guy. Nearly kill him. Looking for a shot on the Mutts. Doesn't kill him. Didn't work out exactly as I wanted right there, but we're up to 4,276. And I think it ends right. Maybe I don't get the shot. Yeah, oh, would have been a kill shot right there. 4,276, 1,154. We actually bounced some at 610 damage bounce, mostly from lower tier stuff there, so you got to like that. All right, second example. Right, also top tier. It has to be said, I probably had maybe 3 or 4 tier 10 battles. That may have a lot to do with why my win rate on it was so good. Maybe even a lot to do with why I kind of like it so much. We'll see what happens after 100 battles. Much like my recent video on, as I did on the CS63, which is a very fast tank. This is very fast at tier 8. I was exploring positions maybe that a normal medium wouldn't go to. This is fairly standard, but what I wanted to mention is how fast I'm getting here, right? We're 22 seconds into it, and I'm about to tuck up. So even their fast lights aren't going to be able to catch me out in the open. There is no arty, which is going to inform my decision to come out to this outrigger position here. I do not get spotted. I can't tell you how important things like that are. He doesn't know I'm there, right? If somebody spotted me, I was still further out when he poked. If I just drove up and over and took a shot, guys would be aimed in. As it is, I'm going to surprise them, and hopefully people don't get a shot on me, or at least not as many. So we'll pop him, we'll back out. The other thing you note about this game is there's only 2 TDs, a Scorpion and Ferdinand. I don't expect there to be too many guys up on the TD hill right there. So we find the Leo, put a little shot there. I don't know if that goes in. Our Leo comes over to help. Their Barask is raging around. There he is again. Don't quite have a shot. Oh, Leopard PTA. Fantastic. Someone spotted him. We'll just come up. Nice gun depression, right? I can use this very comfortably. The dispersion is decent. That is a good example right there of just a little bit off on my timing on medium reloads because I kind of poke up and I'm really nowhere near reloaded. So we're talking about a longer reload on this gun than a lot of other mediums. Took me a while to get there. I would have rather have come up, fired, and backed off, right? I was exposed way longer than I really wanted to be. A little bit better, but not quite. The other thing about that one, though, is it gives me time to aim in. So let's see if we can finish off the Barask. We're up to 1,100 damage. There he is. I don't think there's really anybody else up here, so we're going to take a chance and try to kill this dude. Down he goes. Oh, we did get hit. An IS-2 from across. So we eat a big hit at 421. That hurts. Take a quick peek, and it looks like we've sorted out this corner. So let's use this thing's mobility and speed, and we'll blaze over here. Really, any heavy or medium could do this. The thing about a tank like this, though, is it gets there faster, right? You're getting to the next hit points faster. Always a good thing. That missed. I'm going to back out because that 4202 is probably looking at me now. There's the light. No sense going back up to the same place. Let's just reposition, come back down this way. All the guys in the edge of town are going to be looking for people to poke over that little corner. So let's not do that again. Come over this way and maybe look for a shot on the Leo. We can tell as I push in that the Pershing has moved up and isn't getting disintegrated. The Udez is pushing the hill, so we now got this hill a little bit isolated. There doesn't seem to be anybody over here waiting to shoot us, although we did lose the Tiger 1 right there to the IS-2. And all of a sudden we have shots on guys like this dude here. There's that long aim time. It does take a while. This will get me proxy lit. Probably not exactly what I wanted to do, because I was thinking about trying to come around the corner and surprise the IS-2, and then the 4202 makes himself available. So he's tracked, hating live, trying to track this dude, trying to get a reload going on. There's that long reload. That timing is just a little off for a medium. We're going to come in here. We're going to zoom out a bit so I can tell which way his turret's pointing. He's not pointing at me, so that gives me a free shot to just come around. He's still not looking at me. Alright, the reason I push in on him is he's pretty close to a one-shot. He's chasing the Pershing, and I don't want anyone who might be over here, and right now I didn't even know that IS-3 was there, but I know the position is there, and I don't want to get hit, although I didn't go far enough, did I? Nope. And then I think about, ooh, geez, there he is. Alright, so the initial decision was good, poor execution. And then I cover up with the buildings on the IS-3. As you can see, the dispersion isn't bothering me, especially in these mid to close range shots. And if you've got time to aim. Now I just snap one off there and it works out for me. That's pure RNG, but you take the shot. The old adage, you miss every shot you don't take. And this guy's going to really give me another side turret. Thank you. Put him down. 263 is not bad. So we find the Tiger, and we just start punishing this guy. He's got all kinds of hit points. The JP is going to try. What I'm going to do here is watch the Tiger 1, and when he shoots, which he will here in a moment, boom. He's shooting HE, by the way. You can tell by the sound. So even if I come out, I'm not too worried about losing too many hit points. Look at the JP is like, whatever, I'll take that. And I'm figuring it's HE, so who cares? Shoot me. He missed, I guess. I don't know. And down he goes. So we're up to 3,867. AE phase 1, I guess he's trying to maybe make a move or make something happen, or he's just not paying attention, but he gets nuked. 50 TP. I think he actually shoots me. That's how long the reload is. It's going to give him time to reload, unfortunately. Nope, never mind. That wasn't this game. He did not reload. We got him dead, and we're up to 4 kills, 4,215. Come around this way. We've got the Chiri up on the hill. I do eat a shot from the Bulldog in the side. Chiri, I'm not really sure what his plan is, but he must be tracked, I guess. He's hating life. I think the Pershing actually kills him. There it is. Nicely done. I shoot anyway because I didn't notice that the Chiri had died, and now we're just going to push in. I think I get a shot on the Ferdy. Yep, there we go. He's fighting multiple people. We get a shot underneath, and I don't get the last one. 4,862, 1,170. Nothing bounced in this case. Didn't take a lot of shots. The ones I did hit and penned. That's the second ace tanker. So good gun depression, good mobility within local fights. The dispersion not as bad as you would think, but I have done quite a bit to tame it. There are a few more things you could do probably. I don't know if maybe I'm not even sure if a directive can help that. I'm trying to think of what I might be able to do extra. I think I have everything on there other than improved or bounty equipment to help out the dispersion. So you might be able to squeeze a couple more out of it, and I don't know what the field mods can do. Maybe there's one. I think there is one for dispersion on there as well. But let's look at the third example. All right, taking a page from my CS63 video, just trying to use a little bit of the speed, see what it can do, see if it can be disruptive to other places we can take. Another example like the one before, where I'm moving in into a position that is pretty standard position, but I'm able to get there before I'm spotted pretty quickly, or pretty well quickly before other tanks can get there. So I'm looking at this going, well, do I want to get stuck on this backside, or do I just go tuck up in this building? I might be able to get across here. And no kidding, he hits me, that's fine. We dive into here, right? Now, if all three of them get super aggressive and come right at me, I probably die pretty quick. But we've got plenty of snipers shooting at him, and now I've also got backup with these other mediums coming in here. I do want to avoid the two Arty. I'm going to come out here. He's not really looking at me, so I'll take that free shot. And then I'm going to tuck up here. Some more spotting. I'm already up to 300 spotting, 300 damage. And these dudes are all kind of pushed up in here. So I have the support to do it. Not necessarily a great position. If they really want you out of there, they can come around and do it. I don't know what this Reb is doing. He absolutely loses his mind. I'll just auto-aim him and shoot him. He is going to get a shot on me. I'm not going to reload in time, and I can't really stay away. I back up as much as possible, hoping he won't get me. I'll just accept the shot, and we'll take him down. I'm not really sure what happened right there. I thought I clicked. Maybe my mouse didn't click, or I didn't click. I don't know. But I felt that that was the shot, and then it didn't go off, so I had to poke back out. And we're up to 864, 464 assists. We got a lot of help. So we want to peel out this Patton. We'd like to take out this Skoda T50. Lanson's down there in the middle, and the city has not really engaged yet. This Patton kind of pulls up here. A little bit surprised I didn't get splashed a bunch by the Artie, but splash is not what it used to be. So we're just going to hang out here for a while. We'll speed this thing up because it's going to take a while for it to break down. The Progetto moves into the middle. That looked like maybe it was going to be trouble, but you'll watch here in just a minute. He gets shot and burns to the ground. So that eliminates that problem. So now I start thinking about, hey, can I come out here, maybe backwards side scrape or something, get some shots? But I'm 2 shots from being out of the game, so I really don't want to give one up just to get one at this point. The Skoda's trying to side scrape out and take shots. Patton's thinking about getting a shot, and if he shoots, I'm going after him. I auto-aim him. Because I'm like, all right, if he shoots or moves his gun, no, okay, didn't quite get it. But we'll just keep the auto-aim on him, right? That's, oh, he is coming. All right, he wants to go up to the 54. So the 54 has made some a good move for us. Unfortunately, I blocked the Udez shot. Doesn't bother me too much, you know what I mean? He's a TD hanging out in the back. It wasn't on purpose, obviously. I mean, if I could block that shot on purpose with those eyes in the back of my head, that would be amazing. Skoda T50, the Lanson C's up behind him. Now these 2 guys are coming this way. I'm watching the turret, and I'll bounce. Oh, geez. I really thought he was just going to turn around and come at me and try to gun me down. And I think he wanted to, but he kind of stops. It looks like now he's turning back on those guys. Gives me an opportunity to come out and shoot him while his turret isn't pointed towards me. Kind of long reload once again. He does kill a guy, but he's out of shots, right? So we'll just pop him as we go, and we'll move on up into the east town. Down goes the RHM, and we're in good shape. We're in the driver's seat. The only thing we really need to be careful with right now is if the town loses and they push hard into the cap, or if they're able to all come back. But I think we have so many guns at this point, it's highly unlikely they're going to be able to do that. That last game, by the way, was the one where I had 1,600 base experience. We'll just come up here. We'll shoot him on the run. No worries. Come back around. I think I see an Artie shot come out, so I have a good idea where he is here in just a minute. As I recall, there it is. See that Artie shot go out? All of a sudden, I know exactly where their Artie is. And now we get some guys lit because our dudes in town are still fighting. Shot right there. A little bit lucky. Wasn't really zoomed in all the way. T30 is doing his thing. Just zoom in here. I think I take a shot. There we go. Don't know if it hits. Oh, it did. Look at that. Because somebody had him lit, even though I don't have draw distance on him, I'm able to find out what the damage is. And we have radio contact. Push down here. I'm really after this Artie. That's what I want to kill right now. Find him. There he is, making a runner. We'll keep dodging down low. Get him auto. And I just a little jink right there helps out with the miss on that guy. I'll slow down so I don't go past him. My turret can't keep tracking. And I'm thinking, oh, I wonder where the Su-130 is, and I'm about to find out. Where is that old Su? Oh, there he is. Back there. Got it. Let's just dodge over the edge. There we go. We'll cover up against that guy. Hopefully the T95 doesn't have the ability to come up and over and take me out. I'm going to come up here and go, all right, good. Someone else lit him. I clicked, by the way, on the map, said, all right, there he is. Everyone moves down. Somebody else might have even taken a hit in there unknown. He gets hit, and that's that. Pretty quickly, the T95 dies. That's 2,930, 609 assists. I think it's actually 3,000 because the blind shot, the relatively blind shot in the T30, there might have even been another one in there, I think, somewhere along the way, but it is in the 3,000s for another ace tanker. Just shows the ability, the speed ability of this thing. Let's wrap it up. Well, that is it, my friends. My review of the AltProto AMX 30 Tier 8 French Premium Medium Tank Non-Auto Loader. The tank that destroyed the game. No. If you were looking for the tank that destroyed the game, you're going to have to look into the past. Maybe find a 703 version 2 or a Chrysler GF or some such thing. This is a balanced tank that has capabilities that good players are going to absolutely love. the mobility, the decent armor, the great gun depression, the okay gun, hitting for 300 is a bonus. It basically does a little bit of everything and then tosses on a lot of speed. So it's not an autoloader. You know, if you're looking for the next autoloader overpowered tank, this is not it. But in terms of a cyclical gun and a more careful game style that is predicated on speed and reacting to game flow, that's why it takes a good player, in my opinion, to really leverage this thing's capabilities. This is a good tank. It's also a good tank to learn that stuff. It's also a good tank to learn that stuff. And while I will not say it's necessarily forgiving as, say, a Bobject of some kind, it is more forgiving than something like a CDC, which probably goes without saying. Nearly everything is more forgiving than a CDC, but you get my drift right there. The really mobile tanks can be very unforgiving in terms of armor. This has a little bit of armor, and it is somewhat useful. So it will keep you out of some trouble, but not all trouble. The speed will absolutely allow you to get into a bunch of trouble. I liked it. I did pretty well on it. We'll see what happens in 100 battles. Is it worth it? Man, that is up to you. I'm not going to make that call. Everyone's got their own price point. Is it a worthy addition to anyone's garage? I think so. I think so. I think it is relatively balanced. I'm going to say it's slightly above average in a good player's hands, and we'll see where the numbers pan out. You know where the 122 TM is? Near the top. Near the top. So I just chucked that out because it got widely panned as a pretty average to bad tank. So sometimes you never know where these things are gonna pan out, or where they're going to, in the wash, where it's going to come out in the wash. Whatever the heck I'm trying to say, I don't know. Insert colloquialism here. I liked it. I thought it was good. That's all I've got. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know what you think down below. Let me know what you think of the review overall. Oh, good. Mocha has made an appearance. It took about 40 minutes to do so, but she's done it. Let me know what you think of the tank, what you're going to do with the marathon. Are you going to go for it? That's all I've got. See ya.